Are we good? I'm just gonna wait for it to pop up. Yeah, we're chopping. All right. Hey everyone, welcome to the Fantasy Football Upside. Sorry for the slight delay. We got some first timers over here. We just decided, we'll do it live. So appreciate everybody joining us. We're just going to get right into it. There was a question I found on Twitter that I thought was pretty good that we need to discuss on this one. It's Najee Harris or Joe Mixon, full PPR week 1. I gotcha. Hey, this is what happens when we try it for the first time. Yeah. I think we can still discuss it though. And we got some people watching. Thank you, viewers. Yep, we're trying here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's all good. We're gonna have to figure out. Probably have it do it through my computer, most likely. Oh yeah, for sure. All right. What do you think about the Najee or Joe Mixon? Real quick, might as well answer it. It might be a little choppy for people, but might as well answer it. Yeah. I mean, I could see Joe Mixon going over 20 touches as well, but it's going to get you 3 yards per touch, maybe if you're lucky. It it really is, but and it's also one of those things where they can't figure out ways to get him in the open space because I think Najee Harris is going to be used a lot more in the passing game compared to a Joe Mixon. That's never really been his style. That's never really been something they've used him for. So I definitely like Najee Harris in this one. Um, Yeah, we had one from YouTube. Is actually would you all drop J.D. Mckissick for Tony Jones Jr.? It's a PPR 10 team. The more and more I think about it, hey, Alex check down Smith not being there drops J.D. McKissick's value big time? Question mark. What do you think on that one? Yeah, I gotcha. Real quick, Kyle, check your microphone. Yeah. I think that was all. I think it was all gold, but.
All right.
Basically, do a quick little.
I'm back. There I am.
Go ahead and go through that one again. So, drop J.D. Mckissick or Tony Jones Jr.
I would hang on to McKissick, and I would. We were talking about dropping or starting, right? Which one is it there?
It's a drop. Would you drop either of them?
All right. Well, I would go with. I wouldn't want to drop either of them. I think long term, probably you're trying to hang on to Tony Jones Jr., but it's less likely to be. In the long run, I think Tony Jones Jr. is going to get a little more work than McKissick, but it's more predictable with McKissick. I like McKissick as a guy who's going to get a lot more work between the 20s. He's going to get a lot more opportunities. He's more likely to be involved in the screen game, passing game, all that stuff. Tony Jones Jr. right now, like I said, I think that Latavius Murray was the ceiling of expectable work or expected work for Tony Jones Jr. And then I would drop down from there where I expect him to start for the year. And like I said, I don't think that Sean Payton's predictable enough to really trust. That's concerning for me, right? I not that Ron Rivera is going to be great, but I think that, there'll be more consistent opportunities to get him worked in there. Antonio Gibson's a little bit smaller, more likely to get banged up. Same thing with Kamara, but Kamara is solid as far as what he's going to get done on the field. And so I think it'll tend to keep Tony Jones Jr. off other than when Kamara needs a break, right? That's really what it boils down to for me.
I think in this league, we kind of have an idea what J.D. Mckissick is.
Yeah.
He was on the field a lot, every third down last year. And, coming into the preseason, there was always talks of getting, Antonio Gibson on third downs more and more, but we didn't see that in the preseason.
Not yet, but I think he will get more involved because I do believe that Rivera wants to do something similar to what he did with CMC. But whether or not Antonio Gibson can manage that, I don't know. I don't know just yet. I like him a lot. I think he could potentially do it, but I know that McKissick can do what he needs to do. Tony Jones Jr., he shined in the preseason. Who's he going up against, right? That's a complication. It's a complicating factor there. So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, we had another question on here for this week. They said they want to pick our brain for Stefan Brochu. I probably said that wrong. Starting Allen Robinson or Brandon Ayuk for today.
Why don't you take that one?
Yeah, I'll take that one. We got Brandon Ayuk going against the Detroit Lions and Allen Robinson going against LA Rams. So that's why I am going to lean towards Brandon Ayuk in this one, especially with some news coming out where Trey Sermon's out for this game. He's actually a healthy scratch. So I think they're going to have to lean on not only Raheem Mostert, but they're going to be leaning on Debo and Brandon Ayuk even more. And once again, it's the Detroit Lions defense. Let's be honest, not the greatest of defenses. Now, when it comes to Allen Robinson, he is by far the better player, but in this week, he's going to get the Jalen Ramsey effect. And he's also got Andy Dalton throwing the ball, which Andy Dalton, Jimmy Garoppolo, take your pick on that one. But I just look for the fact of a better matchup with Brandon Ayuk, and the guy is a rack monster. I think he's going to be able to get you a few catches today with flirting with 100 yards and a touchdown.
All right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like everything you're saying there. I think I'd stick with it, and just go that direction. So.
Absolutely. And then that was, I definitely wanted to mention as well, again, Trey Sermon, healthy scratch, everybody. Zach Moss, healthy scratch.
Yeah.
That's very curious on that one when it comes to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, granted, there's not much.
I think both are curious. I think both are curious there.
Yeah, I mean, their running game was non-existent last year besides the quarterback. So what exactly are they wanting to do? I mean, I know they wanted to get more speed, and that's why they brought in Matt Breida, and right now he is healthy. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think Zach Moss got the sit, and Devin Singletary is going to probably take the lead back role, but I think Matt Breida is going to see the field quite a bit in that speed back role. Yeah,
and could, in fact, take over a potential majority of the carries, honestly. Unfortunately, I think that they're searching for a running game on that team, and I don't know if they've found it yet. I doubt it. That's just kind of, it's a rough situation, I think. So, yeah.
And we got a question here in the chat. We have Gaskin or Pittman, PPR.
Oof.
What do you think on that one?
Let's see. Who's Gaskin going up against? That's New England, right? And then Who is
Michael Pittman Jr.
Pittman's going
or,
against
the Seahawks.
Seahawks. I would go Gaskin, I think. That's tough. Gaskin probably, just because I think you've got a floor with him, right? I wouldn't want to do anything more than flex there. And I assume it's a flex question because it's running back versus wide receiver. So I would probably go with Gaskin. I could be wrong there, but I'd rather be wrong with a guy who's got a floor than wrong with a guy who's probably his floor is 0. Just because that offense is going to have some trouble against Seattle's secondary a little bit more. I don't like Gaskin necessarily against New England. That's rough, but I'd take that. So
yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards the Gaskin as well. Even though this is a PPR, it's a tough one because we're not quite sure exactly what that offense is going to look like with the Indianapolis Colts, because we haven't really seen a healthy Indianapolis Colts team yet. For Gaskin, I like his floor. Like you said, you always like the floors when it comes to running backs, and Gaskin can catch the ball out of the backfield, but you do have some questions about the Salvin Ahmed, Malcolm Brown. They were getting a lot of work this preseason as well, but Gaskin is by far the better running back. And then when it comes to the Colts, they like to spread the ball around a lot. Yeah. Even with T.Y. Hilton out for the foreseeable future, there are still quite a few wide receivers on the roster, as well as guys catching the balls out of the backfield. With Nyheim Hines getting that new contract, I'm sure they're going to want to give him some work out of the slot as well and in the backfield. I think you got Zach Pascal, Harris Campbell. Those guys should all be healthy. And then you have about 2-3 different tight ends that they want to get working as well. So I do like Michael Pittman as a whole this year for sure. Just this defense as well. I wouldn't want to take that stab.
Yeah, I think that it's a big guess. It really is a big guess. I don't know. I think that, like I said, I think you go with Gaskin just because I think you're likely to get that floor out of him that you won't get out of Pittman. Pittman could blow up. I mean, obviously, right? He could go for 2 touchdowns and be surprising, right? But if you're talking about flex, I think you're looking for consistency more than anything. If you're looking for an explosive win out of your flex spot, I think you're running into some rough water there. So
absolutely.
Yep.
I was just going through some other start sit questions. I was going to throw some names at you. We'll do a quick little machine gun sum here.
Sure.
So Austin Eckler is healthy right now. At least he's going to play. Austin Eckler, David Montgomery, standard scoring. What do you think on that one?
Austin Eckler, David Montgomery, standard. I would go. Gosh,
we got Eckler's going against the Washington football team. Montgomery's going against the LA Rams.
I would go Eckler against Washington. I think both of these defenses are very strong, so that's a rough one right there. But I would go with Eckler. I think that it's just a better chance, whereas Montgomery's going to be going against a really rough defense, especially up the middle. And I don't trust Nagy to figure out to send them outside all the time. Run them around the edge more than up the middle. That's where I would go with it. So, yeah,
absolutely. I kind of like that one as well. I think. Eckler has shown that he can get the ball in multiple different ways. David Montgomery is usually just right up the gut or, around the edge. And I don't know if they're going to be able to, get him enough room to get around that edge with, LA Rams team. So I like that one as well.
Yeah.
Here's another one for you. Damien Harris against the Miami Dolphins, Josh Jacobs against Baltimore Ravens. What you think on that?
Oh, that's easy for me. That's Harris. I think that Harris is going to have a solid day. I like that they've thinned down that backfield enough that you can trust, I think, that it's going to be him on first and second down and work in probably some third down opportunities, just if they're in the hurry up offense and that sort of stuff. And I think that, there's some risk with negative game scripts probably of him going out of the, in full series kind of stuff. And that's not exactly ideal. But he's been around long enough, I think, that they trust him to be the blocking back in passing situations a little bit more. And so, we've commented before, we think he can catch passes, and he's done it in college. Why not, right? So I think that that's the direction they want to go with him. I think that Belichick wants to solidify the running back position a little bit more because I think they're transitioning toward a heavier run offense than anything and short passing game. Like I think he sees what's gone on with the Shanahan tree with McVay and LaFleur. I think he likes that idea and he's going that direction. That's what Mac Jones can operate in. That's Damien Harris. That's having two really big tight ends on the edges that are on the field all the time. So that's the direction I would go. Josh Jacobs, I think he's losing carries, whereas I see Damien Harris moving up in the opportunities. So that's where I'd go with
Absolutely. I mean, they definitely felt, good enough to, trade Sony Michel and actually get some value out of him.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Mac Jones. He's a rhythm passer right now. And like you said, it's going to be short, crossing patterns and stuff like that and getting the ball out of the backfield as well to Damien Harris. Cause he showed it in college, he hasn't quite showed it that much in the NFL, but I think, like you said, it's going to improve more and more for him. And then Josh Jacobs, that scares me with, signing Kenyon Drake and paying him top 10 money.
Yeah.
But, John Gruden and, Vegas it is like Vegas. It's a crapshoot. You just don't know what they're going to do. They are very unpredictable. And I just think it's going to be a lot more of a split than people think when it comes to the Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. So
I think so too. I think that Drake gets a lot of carries out of that. So that's
I think
rough.
If you drafted Drake at his ADP, you're getting quite a bit of value. And if you drafted Josh Jacobs at his ADP, you're going to suffer for most of the season, as both those guys might just be standalone flex values for you throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right. Hey, guys, throw comment or questions out in the comments if you've got any. I see we're getting a few more viewers here. It's awesome. So
thank you.
We apologize if the stream rate's not running clean right now. It's our first time running this, and we've had a few technical difficulties this week, and we apologize for that. It's not been our top of the season so far, right, Justin? So
it's the first week, because we usually we'll do a start sit episode, and we'll go through every single matchup, which we did actually. You and I sat through that, and sadly we had a slight microphone issue. Yeah,
unfortunately, it was the same one that fired up at the start of this thing, right? So I don't understand why it keeps doing that. We fixed that setting earlier this summer, and it seems to be doing it again. If the bit rate's running pretty bad, let us know if it's not streaming clean here, and we will try to fix that. I think I might have finally got the setting cleaned up enough that it looks like we're not dropping any more frames right now. So I think I've got it kind of dialed in a little bit, but probably not the greatest still. So we will try to do what we can to get that cleaned up for you the next Sunday, right? Obviously. But if you have any questions, start sit questions, weather, injury questions, anything like that, obviously there's no weather concerns this week, it appears. I don't think. So
doesn't seem
if you have any of those kinds of questions, feel free to drop that down in the comments or hit us over there on Twitter. I think we're monitoring both right now. Justin's got like 50 screens going, I think, at once plus the full TV. Hence the
I keep looking up
the inhuman glow of his skin, right? Yeah. So
you're welcome.
Yeah. I think I finally did get the drop frames to stop, so that's good. Looks like we're running clean right now, so that's good. But we'll run a test maybe this week or something, and we'll see what we can do. Do we have another one? Yeah.
Well, no, here's a quick little report out there. NFL Network came out and reported that Jamal Williams will carry the load at least this week.
What did I say? What did I say all season, man? All preseason. What did I say was going to happen? Yeah. People are all high and mighty on DeAndre Swift, and then they have this stupid fake rumor that Reddit started that was just absolutely slanderous. It was libel, dude. And he really should go after whoever it was. He should be out there getting information on these people, IP information, because it was ridiculous and not cool at all. But Jamal Williams is the more consistent back. And I think they want to throw more than people really think, actually. And I think that they think they've outthought everybody on the passing game, right? They've got Quintez Cephas, who's obviously the next Marvin Harrison, and they've got these other no names who are obviously Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp in the making. Like it doesn't make any sense. But it's Dan Campbell, right? He's going to bite the kneecaps off of everybody and make sure that they get going. So maybe they'll be surprising a little bit, but I think surprising in the wrong direction. There's a heavy contingent of Detroit fans on fantasy Twitter, I've noticed. as far as like fantasy analyst. I mean, I guess if you like the NFL and you're a fan of the Lions, you probably have to spend your time rooting for random players a lot more often than your team. And so, you get heavily involved in fantasy football, supposedly. So,
right.
But man, I've heard
something.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I've heard some crazy stuff about how awesome this offense is going to be. And I'm like, it's Jared Goff, first of all. Second of all, DeAndre Swift hasn't proven a thing, guys. He has not proven a thing. And this is his third year, right?
Yeah, this offensive staff has no loyalties really to DeAndre Swift. They weren't the ones that drafted him. So, they're going to look for someone that can actually play. And, DeAndre Swift has already been hurt for this training camp and going into the season. So, all right. I got another question here for you that I saw.
Yeah, I just saw one pop up on the comments in the live stream. And maybe we should answer this one incorrectly. I don't know.
All right, Jared, I appreciate it. So we got Jamar Chase or Corey Davis standard scoring.
We'll ignore his other question or comment rather.
Well, I mean, that way he doesn't get to see his face, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But Jamar Chase or Corey Davis, what do you think, Kyle?
Well, first of all, to roll the dice, Jared, if we're answering this one truthfully or not. But I would probably go with Corey Davis. I would go with Corey Davis over Jamar Chase. I don't trust Chase just yet. No. I think he could right the ship, but I think it's entirely possible that he's out there for 30% of the snaps and that it's strictly T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, who I like and I think was severely underdrafted during the offseason.
Severely.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people are planning on Jamar Chase turning in a Justin Jefferson season. I just don't see that as likely, and not because of any knock on Chase, but just because of the actual nature of how things play out for rookie wide receivers. It just doesn't make any sense to me to think that he's going to do that well. Now, obviously, I think you pay up for him in drafts if you're in a keeper or a dynasty league, but I wouldn't have done it in a straight redraft. It just didn't make sense. But
I mean, you have more when it comes to those high drafted wide receivers. You have more of the Jalen Ragers than you do the Justin Jeffersons when it comes to what happens
here's the bigger question: who's in Corey Davis's way other than Corey Davis for target opportunities? Right? There really isn't an issue there.
Elijah Moore, maybe.
Yeah, but he's all kind of nicked up. There's some question there.
And then Keelan Cole is inactive for today. I think he's hampered by an injury because Fantasy Twitter tried to make him a thing, but then you also got
they've been trying that for years. Yeah, I like Mims.
Denzel Mims, that was a second round pick, and yet I mean they were talking about him being on the cut line already.
Well, who's going to be QB today, right? It's not
Zach Wilson.
Is it Zach Wilson?
Should be Zach. Yeah, it should
be.
Okay,
I like Zach Wilson. I think he's good, but I think that he's gonna pull the rookie QB move, which is check down as much as possible. Hit the tight end as often as possible. They're going to try to keep it pretty vanilla for him to start.
They should.
Now, they may start opening up the playbook toward the end of the game, especially if they're out of it, right? Especially if they're out of it. And they may start opening it up over the next few weeks. But how are you going to do that without a full complement of wide receivers available to you? And I think they do want Elijah Moore out there, and I think they do want Keelan Cole out there. I like Corey Davis as a wide receiver one on this team still. And I think he's going to get wide receiver one targets, especially this week. So I'd go with him, whereas Jamar Chase it's a very unknown quantity, especially with regard to target opportunity. And then factor in the fact that there are two very, very good wide receivers still on that roster, a very good tight end on that roster, and a very good pass catching back. So he's fourth, maybe on the high end in the target progression.
Yeah, right now, yeah.
I
mean,
he could
two
jump
different footballs, I guess. I mean, that's one thing. That little report that came out.
The
two different footballs.
The Duke. The Duke's hard to catch, bud. Jesus, get on the jug machine, man. Figure it out.
But it's also look at his teammates when it comes to Jamar Chase. Look at his teammate T. Higgins. It took him a couple weeks, and he was coming off of a very productive, college career as well. But he also didn't have to. He didn't sit out a whole year. Yeah. So that's something to look at. Yeah. Hey,
I just want to point out we did get a question here that just popped up on not Jamar Chase. I'm sorry, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams again. We actually just went over this just a second ago, but we'll go ahead and throw this back out there. We prefer Jamal Williams. We've heard this comment already. It's we were saying this all offseason. Avoid Swift. He was being overdrafted. It was likely that Jamal Williams would be heavily involved. And so the question is Jamal Williams, Russell Gage, Gallaudet, or Shenault should we start any of them over
DeAndre?
I think over DeAndre.
Yeah,
that's rough. I would definitely put DeAndre at best in my flex. At best, it looks like that's the question there actually, because you're looking at 2 wide receiver options or 3 wide receiver options. If we're talking flex for us, it's always going to be the running back probably, just because we like the
almost
baseline.
Always, unless it's like a PPR, then we have a slightly different conversation for sure.
But I think even in a PPR, I'd still probably go with Jamal Williams here. I mean, wouldn't you?
Because of the passing work.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Galladet's a big question. Chenault, I like him a lot, but what are you going to do with that? I don't know.
Right now, he's still competing. High volume type guy either. It's going to be, hopefully he catches a screen and takes it to the house where Jamal Williams is going to get touches in the backfield and out.
Yeah. So, and then, Gage, second option at best in that offense, probably third option because of Pitts. So
he could be even fourth behind Austin Hooper and Pitts.
Yeah. I'd go with Jamal Williams. I think I'd still go with him just because he's getting first and second down. He's probably he's a pass catching back, a known pass catching back. If you remember that ridiculous pass he caught against Kansas City last year, where Rodgers was not even he was looking away, diving through the ball, and Williams caught it with his toes inbounds in the back corner of the end zone, hanging out of bounds at the same time. That's the kind of stuff I'm not a huge Jamal Williams fan, but that's the kind of stuff he brings to the table on third down, guys. So I would go with him.
I mean, and Kenny Gallaudet, it's something that we've talked about quite a bit, where this is kind of the worst situation that he could come into. I really don't understand. I mean, he went there because of the money. But I don't really understand what the Giants were doing, because they already have quite a few wide receivers. Yes, all of them were kind of but I mean, the guy can't get separation. That's never been his style. It's always a jump ball, or you need an accurate quarterback. Well, he had Matthew Stafford throwing him the ball for years. Now who does he have?
Yeah.
He's got Danny Dimes, who can't throw dimes. It's more like Danny Pennies. So,
yep.
And then Chenault, I like Chenault a lot this year. And then all of a sudden, they also have quite a few targets out there that are being eaten up right now.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of good guys there.
You got DJ Chark.
Marvin Jones is the wide receiver 1 on that team, is in my opinion. He's the wide receiver 1.
He very well could be.
I think Chenault is an X factor, but I don't think that he's the guy.
I think at the end of the season, I actually think Chenault may have more points than Marvin Jones at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But when it comes to what we do and what we look at, we're looking at that weekly consistency ranking.
Yeah, if you're looking at best ball, I go Chenault over Marvin Jones. But I think if you're looking at just a week over week roto style or head to head matchup, I'm going Marvin Jones, because he provides that consistency that you need to be successful in fantasy football. Too many people swing for the fences, and that's why they have these awesome looking teams and then they don't make the playoffs, or they bust out in the first round of the playoffs. And it's guys who are out there doing, drafting guys like Keenan Allen and things. They're not paying attention to the inconsistency, even though they're consistent year over year. It's week over week. So, all right, guys. I think we're actually we're at 30 minutes roughly. We're a quarter of an hour before the game starts. So hopefully we've been able to handle everybody's questions who needed those questions answered. I think we're going to end the stream, and hopefully next Sunday we've got the settings dialed in again, and we're able to run clean for you then and hit your questions up. All right. So hopefully you guys are able to handle it today. Good luck. If you got any questions, make sure that you have your late game guys in your flex spots.
Yes.
Get them out of the regular spots, because if some sort of last minute injury crops up, last minute report, you have them in your flex and you can pivot. Maybe you can grab somebody off the waiver wire if you need. It's first week of the season. Hopefully that information's clear already, but just as a matter of habit, you should always have later game guys in your flex spot if it's anything you can do. All right.
Absolutely. Even I have Alvin Kamara in my flex right now.
Yeah. Even though it's the second half. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Good luck.